Hey, everybody, it's the Red Zone. It's Thursday night. It's 9 p.m. Eastern Time, so it's ready to rock and roll. We're here on the Red Zone. You know, we normally do a nice long introduction, but we can't because if you look at all of the squares around here, we're ready to rock and roll with top-notch A++ knowledge and leadership from all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast and all the way in the middle. My name is Josh Tobar, and I'm the proud principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD, Garland, USA, ready to make sure we come together and bring the whole country together, one big family, because you know what? We're all facing the same adversity that we've had for the last 3 years, and the only way we're going to do it is by getting stronger together, learning from each other the tools of success, and you know what? The only group that's going to win are kids, the future of the United States, the future of America. What do you think about that, Chris?
I absolutely love it, Josh. You know, we created this idea on the basis of everything that you just stated. Chris Darcheski, principal at Dudley Middle School and proud co-host of Unlock the Middle. Tonight, we've got a super lineup around the screen with us. But hey, let's get some introductions going. Josh, please let us know who you are, what you do, and, what your story and education is, in a quick 30 seconds or so. Ricardo.
Hey, my name is Rick Lopez. I'm proud superintendent of Garland, USA. We're located in Dallas County. We got about 55,000 students, 75% economically disadvantaged. I've been in the business from the teacher ground up. And I'm going to tell you something that everything that we're feeling from COVID, and we're still in the COVID era. We're not post-COVID yet. We got to remember that. It is felt universally throughout the country. So I feel that we're the epicenter with 55,000 students, 72 schools of what happens across the nation. And what we feel is if we can bring light like a lighthouse to the rest of the area on the great things that we're doing, it's just going to transcend across the country. And I'm really proud to have power principals like Josh Tovar. I've known Josh for, over 2 decades probably. You know, we were young bucks back then, and the camaraderie and things that we've gone through have built us for this event today. I think everybody that you're going to hear from today has stories to tell, but the adversities that they felt beforehand have helped them persevere to where we are today. So it's just an honor to be here, and I appreciate the invitation.
Much appreciated, Ricardo. Thanks for being here, and very well spoken. Appreciated. Mike.
Hi, Mike Nagler, proud superintendent of Mineola Public Schools, which is a suburb of New York City. Unlike Ricardo, we're a very small district. We're about 3,000 kids and 5 buildings, and that affords me great opportunities to experiment with a lot of different initiatives. I started as a middle school social studies teacher in Brooklyn, New York. I did that for 11 years or so. I became an AP in that building, and then I finished my doctoral degree and went out to the burbs. And AP, principal of a high school, deputy. I've been superintendent for starting my 14th year. So
wow.
A little long in the tooth.
Excellent experience and wisdom, I'm sure, in those teeth of yours. Joe Clark.
Hey, guys. I am starting year 31 in education. Can't believe it's gone that fast. This is my 12th as superintendent of the Nordonia Hills City Schools. We're small too. 3,200 kids, 6 buildings. We are in Northeast Ohio, right between Cleveland and Akron. The crossroads of America, really. I've been a high school English teacher, middle school principal, high school assistant principal, personnel, assistant superintendent, and superintendent. I am so happy that one of our rock star intermediate principals is joining us tonight. Carol is awesome, and you're going to love her.
Thanks so much, Joe. It's great to have you back on. Carol, we're kicking it to you.
Well, I don't know how I can follow up on that one, but thank you for the kind words, Dr. Clark. And thanks, guys, for letting me join in tonight. I was kind of excited to have these professional dialogues. This is my 26th year in education. I started off in rural, crazy, $500,000 homes to dirt floor people in South Central Florida. Came up to Ohio, back up, from Pittsburgh. I think I mentioned that to you guys before. And was a high school English teacher forever, ran a department for, of 16 down to 11 for 15, 16 years. And then I dabbled a little bit in the private sector. I went and worked at Battelle for Kids, doing some writing for them. I worked at Student Achievement Partners off to the side in the summers and on breaks. I was a regional network leader for Ohio Department of Ed, and I realized, everyone always thinks, you hear the conversation of, hey, I'm going to retire and be a consultant. Well, I kind of did that a little bit and realized that my heart is on the ground, in the boots, and in the dirt. So I'm here, Dr. Clark. You're not getting rid of me yet.
Well, Carol, it's really good to hear all the varied experiences and that you came back into that fold as a great educational leader. Antoine.
All right. Hello, everyone. After hearing all your stories, I'm definitely excited to be able to learn from you all. Definitely some of you have way more years experience than I have in the superintendency. I'm starting my third year as a superintendent in Chester, South Carolina. We're about 30 minutes south of Charlotte, North Carolina, state line, and about an hour from Columbia, South Carolina, north of Columbia. And so my district is about 5,000 students. We have 11 schools there. And we have also one district-sponsored charter school in my district as well. We're very rural county as well. My path into this position was a little untraditional. My undergrad, when I came to college, I was a business major, and I loved the world of business, loved finance, accounting, marketing, loved those. And I realized in college, to help pay for college, I was a school bus driver for the local school system. I attended Winthrop University in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and so to help pay for college. So by doing that experience, I realized, I told my advisor my senior year in college that I wanted to teach. I didn't want to go work for Wells Fargo again, and so which already had a position lined up. And so I completed my undergrad in business administration, and I immediately enrolled back to complete my MBA with teacher certification at my undergrad institution. So after that, I began teaching. I was a high school teacher. I taught marketing, economics, government there, and started a doctoral program and acquired my EDS degree and then my doctoral degree. And after that, I became assistant principal for 4 years. And then I was recruited to another part of South Carolina, near Charleston, South Carolina, as a principal of a 1,200 student middle school there, the largest of 9 middle schools. And then from there, I was a principal in Columbia, South Carolina. Then from there, I was a central office administrator. And again, 2020, right in the middle of the heart of the pandemic. And so people were like, you all are crazy to become a superintendent in the middle of a pandemic, but someone has to do it. So I was one of those guys that I was hired as a superintendent of Chester County Schools in July of 2020. And so starting year 3. So definitely looking forward to learning from you all and sharing with you all tonight.
Well, thanks for sharing. Appreciate that. And that you did a great job of transitioning to what we're going to in our next segment, which would be, we have different regions of the United States presented right before us. And we have different colors of ideology politically of Corona. So it affected all of us in different ways because of what came down from mandates. That's a reality of it. So let's start off again there in South Carolina. What did you all learn from this past experience from the South Carolina lens?
One of the biggest things that we learned in South Carolina is that we were not ready. I don't think anybody was, but we were not. We have a lot of rural counties in this state, and as you all know, the broadband access, that was a huge issue for us. Definitely having a lot of rural counties in the state, and being able to be effective with our virtual instruction with students, because when we were out, or when students were out due to being in quarantine, those kinds of things, it was very difficult to keep them in line and keep them functioning with their schoolwork, because even though we had hotspots that we gave students that were out and those who were on virtual for parents that didn't want their students to come to school, still there was an issue of the broadband access. And our local telecommunications company, the equipment is, the infrastructure is very old here in some parts of the county. There's very limited cell service. So that was a struggle for us, is that we saw how vulnerable we were across the state and even my county when it comes to broadband access, for having the internet access to be able to do Microsoft Teams for students to join that, or Zoom, those kinds of was our most a major issue for us.
Thank you. What about there, Doc Clark in Ohio?
I think what I learned most from COVID was that leadership is it's not a title. It's actually something that you have to do, and politicians make bad educators. That's what I learned. Because in Ohio, when COVID hit us, I think our governor did a nice job at first, and then politics happened, and people argued about stuff. And so every elected official in the state of Ohio punted. They decided, local control. Local control is something that politicians say when they don't want to do something. Because typically they want as much control as they get, but they say local control. You guys make the tough decisions, and I couldn't be more proud of the superintendents that I work with in the area, our principals, our teachers, because nobody was going to make decisions for us. They were afraid to do that, so we had to make decisions, and it's a tough thing to do, to make decisions when people are going to be mad. But that's what educators do, and I think what I learned is, maybe relearn, because I've known it all along, is that we've got really good people working with our kids, definitely in Ohio and definitely around the country.
Thank you. Carol, at the campus level, what was your lesson?
I actually, politics in schools was my first thought, because it wasn't, yes, Dr. Clark was at the helm, and he took enormous hits here and there, but he also got some, we did some really good things as a district, feeding kids who don't necessarily get their meals, right? So we had a great, I realized that community really does come together, right? Like, so you might have politics throwing some stones back and forth, but at the end of the day, people want kids and people to be healthy and safe and all that, and fed and all those kinds of things. So being able to know families that need help, that need hotspots, that need food, who need clothes, or whatever they need, to be able to give that to them as a district, that was probably my greatest takeaway of everything from COVID, that we come together when we need to.
Thank you, Carol. Appreciate that. So I waited right here towards the end for a specific reason, diametrically opposed what we see in the media. How about in New York? Talk to us, Doc.
Well, I'm a forever optimist. So I think I have a lot of positive takeaways for education because of COVID. And to me, it's like, if you're a fan of Marvel Comics, the pandemic was the blip. We got the snap back, and now we're 3 years later, and what are we going to do? And there's so many opportunities. We talked about 21st century learning. Those of us have been around, and trying to push the envelope of keeping the pace with technology. And people didn't embrace it. I mean, certain districts did. And now, when everyone was forced to do it, you have this wealth of opportunity to leverage going forward. And I think that's for me, there's a silver lining in the lesson learned is, some of us were very rare. I'm a member of the League of Innovative Schools. We've been doing one-to-one for 10 years. We literally flipped a switch and we were remote without a problem. And I don't say that to brag. It's just the diametrically opposed way people led got us into difficulties across the country. We had craziness. We were an epicenter, obviously, in New York City, and a lot of things imposed from the state, and it derailed a lot of the work we need to do. We got to focus on continuing to do innovative things for kids and engage kids, because the social media is killing our kids. It's killing our society, if we really want to go off on a tangent. But our parents, and we never had to navigate what these kids are navigating in social media, and I think it was heightened and exposed during the pandemic, and it gives us this great opportunity going forward.
Thank you. And Dr. Lopez, here in Texas.
Yeah, there's a lot of takeaways that we all took, and the first message I want to convey across the nation is, everybody in wherever you live got it right. There's too many Monday morning quarterbacks out there, and hindsight is 2020. People don't know all the dynamics that are happening with each school district. You heard people mention politics. You heard prior infrastructure between pre-COVID, during COVID, and now what's going to happen post-COVID. There's a lot of different things that were happening, and each and every school district got it right because they did what they needed to get to the point that we are today. And what I'm hearing across the nation is kids are actually thriving faster than we expected. So the message out there has to be that even with everything, sub shortages, national teacher shortages, public education is finding a way because that's the resiliency of the foundation of what we built hundreds of years ago. Um, this school system, we got to remember a few things. Our school systems have endured depressions, world wars, conflicts, pandemics, and it still thrives. And these institutions will continue to thrive. Now, this gives a segue to what we did in Garland, USA, in Dallas County that kept us afloat. First of all, we did visioning where we want to be after the pandemic hits. Everything was built around that. And of course, in the moment of chaos, nobody can see the vision because they're all trying to survive. But now that we're coming out, things are clicking, and people are like, wow, we did a great job. And there's a lot of things to celebrate. So the first thing I would always do is when there's a lot of noise, slow the game down and know what you're centered on and just focus on that. The second thing that I would recommend as people are looking at maybe post pandemic strategies as we get through is that have your goals centered on what's the fabric of your culture, because no matter what comes, because things are going to happen in school districts, that's going to be the centerpiece that always unites and gets you through. And every community is unique. It was mentioned about local control, and local control can be a blessing, but it could also be like the burden's on you. And then what happened in COVID, everybody's looking to the left and right at what everybody else is doing, and then throwing it at you as we should be doing that. And everybody's doing something different. So there's no winning solution. And then the third thing is don't waver. Once you make a decision, because you're grounded and you have a strong foundation, don't waver. Um, One thing I was very proud about my district when we made a decision and we got an influx of opposing views, because no matter what we did in my community, um, we would get opposing views. We were very diverse, 75% economically disadvantaged, 69 different languages, 55,000 students. We have people from all over the world, different viewpoints. No matter what we did, we're going to get opposition. And one thing we learned is we don't personalize that. That's our community. We empathize with them, but we stick to the game plan. And when that happens, you're going to bring them the continuity and consistency that's going to make them through. People need stability in times of chaos. And I really, my proudest moment on my team, this isn't me, was just that, not wavering, seeing it through. And the compliments we get was, you were a district that just went to work. Everybody, that's how they categorize us during this COVID time. You guys just went to work. And that's what it was about. And so those are some of the things I would share. And we were perfectly imperfect. Just to throw that out there.
Well stated there. I think, everything's for me, my takeaway from the pandemic experience was really everything that you all hit upon. It was the balance of micro versus macro leadership and understanding a purposeful way and communicating why you might need to focus on the micro over the macro or the macro over the micro. It really came down to trusting your people, understanding the vision and the mission, and really going forward. But the micro versus macro was huge for me. And as I'm going into the 22-23 school year, that was a big part of my focus and perspective, and talking with my assistant principal and other members of the leadership team and my student support team as we're starting to plan and take action. Mike, you nailed it when you said, we're always thinking about the end goal. How is it that we can be better? The innovation schools, right? What's that mindset need to look like as we come into 22-23? Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about your planning process based on your lessons learned or what some of your goals might be. Let's start down at the school level. Carol, where are you at, and where do you hope to be in 22-23?
So I feel pretty pretty good where our building is and where our district is right now. And I mean that sincerely. I think, we don't start for a couple of weeks, but staff have been in the building. They're excited. They're energetic. They're ready to go start fresh. But obviously, over the summer, I focused a little bit more on what measures can I put in place to help any kind of gap closing, right? So in case something happens to us again, knock on wood, what am I going to do to put what procedures, schedules, structures, personnel, what am I doing? I made some shifts in personnel to try to make sure that I have, those different levels of interventions ready to go in appropriate, timely fashion to support staff because, staff is tired.
100% absolute right focus. People first, right? And then everything else comes in line. Let's run right across the row here to Joe.
Yeah, we had our administrative leadership conference last week, and our focus really was on direction, alignment, commitment. Do we all know where we're going? Are we all going there together? And are we committed? Now, there's never been an issue at all with our administrative team about commitment. I've got the most committed administrators you could ever hope to have. And we're pretty well aligned and directed. But we spent a lot of time just refinding our center. What are the things that we are going to focus on? And it came down to the things you guys are all focusing on too, right? Mm-hmm. It's student learning, it's diversity, equity, inclusion, it is social, emotional stuff, it's safety and security. It is relationships, right? Those are the 5 things we're focusing on. And we hashed that out in some group activities. And we know that moving forward, decisions we make, money we spend, it's going to be focused on one of those 5 things, which happen to support each other, by the way.
Awesome. Absolutely imperative, focusing on the kind of the holistic for your district. Antoine.
Yeah, for us, similar things that Joe mentioned. The huge thing was we had our leadership retreat 2 weeks ago with my administrative district, central office leadership, school leadership as well. And some of my focus areas around diversity and inclusion. We're delving into that more. We had several instances of issues this past school year of things that occurred in some of my high schools. And so we're definitely moving forward with that, integrating more diversity and inclusion type strategies and things in our school system. And again, of course, filling those instructional gaps, finding out where they are and working with our students to get them back on grade level where we are. We're looking at some preliminary data already. This is still embarking in our state, but we're seeing growth. We're not fully at our growth targets that they have set. But again, my big thing, I was telling my administrators that as long as we're showing growth, that's all I can ask them to do. We may not meet that particular target, that particular percentile, but again, if students are moving, I'm happy with that. And if you look back at what they've been dealing with the past 2 years, if they're growing, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. And, so social emotional learning, DEI, filling those instructional gaps. We also are building safety and security. That's huge. And the things that are happening in recent school shootings, those kind of things in my community is really what are we doing? I have a lot of older facilities in my district. And so, and I don't know if some of your buildings are the same as mine, but when you walk in to the main entrances of a lot of my buildings, you're in a hallway. You're on a hall. You can go straight to classroom. You can bypass the front offices. So we have to look at how we're going to modify our front office, our entrances, so people aren't able to walk. Once they're buzzed in, they can't get to our students right away. So again, that comes with bond referendum, and again, with the way the economy things are, the community's not willing to do that now. So we don't have the funding to renovate our building schools right now. So we're working with what we have. So those are the key things: facility needs, DEI, social emotional restorative practices, and of course, academic achievement.
Without a doubt, all linchpins in measuring towards success. Ricardo.
So what's great is we focused on student learning. We hired about, it sounds like a lot, like over 100 instructional coaches to be at every campus for math and reading, total in the district. 72 of those are pretty much new to our district. And that means we took away from our best teachers in the teaching force to teach our teachers. And during the staffing shortage, that sounds insane. We're at 98% staffing. And so with that, we were the first to really heighten our pay raises and everything. And our motto is we're not going at it alone. So we created not only, which isn't new, but time for people to plan. But the thing is, we have an expert to plan with them and then rehearse their lessons, just like we did as coaches. You rehearse, you rehearse plays, right? You do all that stuff. So we're rehearsing instruction before we deliver to kids. We perfect it, and then boom, we want precision. That's what we're focusing on. The kids deserve our best each and every day, and the teachers. I mean, it's still. We started this week actually, and the teachers are like, "Hey, this is awesome." They started right away with it, and what we want it to carry throughout the year. We're hoping is that's going to bring it for a district our size is going to bring a lot of continuity and consistency across the district, and we hope that zip code doesn't determine anyone's outcomes. That's the goal, and that's all we've been relentlessly focused on. I don't care if you're brown or black, if you're rich or poor, we got them all here. Okay, if you come from a foreign land and don't speak English, or you're from here, we expect you to perform at a high level, and the rigor is there and the intentionality is there. But if you're going at it alone, it becomes like, I guess it just feels mundane. But when you're going with the team, it's amazing how much more you can get done, and that's the approach we're taking. All of us, our team, we're all going in, and it's going to pay off in the end. We hope.
Love it. Laser focus, non-negotiables, direct support into the pipeline to help everybody meet with success down the line. Mike.
Yeah, so we're kind of going big or going home. We're launching a new version of high school. We're leveraging the asynchronous work in COVID, and we're launching a competency-based high school. We're putting all the subjects in the cloud. We're eliminating all the periods, times wide open. And we endeavor to teach kids how to manage their time, set goals, meet the goals. And in that, we do a lot of problem-based learning stuff around SEL, around heightened topics in our society, and super excited about how this can translate across the country, really. So we're starting about 30. We actually, last year, I bought the bank across the street from my high school, and we've retrofitted it to be the new home for this school we're calling Synergy. So that's one of the big goals. We're doing a similar competency-based launch in our grade 3-4 building, all on the same premise of how do we leverage the experiences we had that were good during COVID and asynchronous learning and carry it forward.
Wow. Yeah. Go big. Wow.
I'm not in Texas, but I'm vibing on them, so it's all good.
I've got a vision board in my office of what I would love to be involved with, and yep, it's right there. Josh.
Well, putting all these pieces together as we prepare forward from the lessons of the past, a good history teacher, we know that the elders pass it down the generations, the knowledge and the sayings. And right now, I want you to use all the experience that you have as we prepare for future leaders who will be taking our place in this beautiful job, the profession that creates all the other professions. Let that person that's watching right now or later on in the rebroadcast, let them know what you look at. Obviously, we all look at similar things, but based on your experience, based on your level that you've reached through the steps going up higher, what are you looking for to making sure you have a successful leader in public education? Dr. Lopez.
There we go. I'm trying to find the mute button. All right. So we've created a robust framework of what we're looking for a leader in our district. One of my pillars, I have 4 legacy pillars, and this is one of the pillars, is to create a robust pipeline of future leaders in our district. I believe my superintendency is going to be determined by the things that we leave behind, not the things that we do now. And one of the things I want to do is create leaders that understand instruction, that are empathetic to the needs of the student, the community, of course, to our teachers. I want a leader that is very versatile in creating a well managed atmosphere while leading instruction. I want a leader that understands not to waver in the time of adversity. And so what we did is we created a lot of different pipelines this past year, and we actually it's kind of crazy, but we actually have an icon and everything going on with this whole leadership excuse me, definition. And so as we're rolling it out and as we're creating and enhancing our systems, we're already seeing a lot of clarity. And when people say like, oh, I know what you want as a leader, and they're getting more involved in our aspiring administrators pipeline. They're looking at more of our future principal institutes. We tier people and give them feedback. It's no longer about an interview. So we changed the way we do our interview process for principals. My most important hire is the principal of the campus because that's the biggest gift I can give to the community, the students, and the teachers is a quality leader. And so that's my hiring thing. The best thing they can do is, of course, is hire well and give these quality teachers to the students. So we do assessment centers, and it's based on performance, not just based on how well you interview. And we've seen some people that have been behind the scenes really thrive in it. You know, sometimes you have those workhorses that nobody sees because they're just kind of different type of personality. They're introverted or whatever, and those people are thriving and they're making a huge impact. It's going to be really neat to see what that happens in the next 3 to 5 years with it. But I do wholeheartedly believe that if there's a robust internal pipeline, no matter how big or small you are, not only do they internalize the vision of what needs to happen in the schools, you're training them on expectations for generations to come. So when either you ascend or you retire and you look back on your work, you're going to see that the culture has changed. And once the culture is set, it's not easily reverted back. So that's what we're working on in Garland.
Thank you very much. Doc, South Carolina, what's going on there? What do you see leadership as?
Yes, several things Dr. Lopez mentioned. Some of the some key things there. I need leaders that are willing to step outside the box. They're not going to stay within what they're used to. They're willing to, go against the grain. That's how I am, and it's sometimes a lot harder in the South, especially South Carolina, to do that, to go against the grain. But I think we have a team now that some are willing, and I'm going to get them more there. We can go against things, but definitely a leader who's going to has a firm grasp on curriculum and instruction. I don't expect them to know everything, but again, have a firm grasp of that and be willing to learn more of that in their journey as a leader. And again, the key thing with the principal, yes, they're the ones that's the most important hire I see in the school system, because they're the ones who, again, that give to the community, and they're going to make all these other hires that I may not be involved with as a superintendent at my level, but someone who's going to inspire and empower their staff members. That's important to me. And they're building leaders within their school. They realize those leaders, as the principal, they realize they don't have to do everything. They can have teacher leaders. There are a lot of leaders we have in our schools. They don't want to be a building administrator or a district level administrator. They want to be a leader at the teacher ranks. So someone's going to inspire and empower their staffs at their school, who's going to appreciate and celebrate. That's important for me. Is someone who's going to appreciate and celebrate their staff as well. So again, those kind of things: inspire and empower, build that leadership capacity within their schools, and someone receptive to change and is willing to go to think outside the box and push against the grain.
Thanks, Doc. How about at the campus level, Carol? What are you looking at? Leadership capacity there.
So I would piggyback on everything that anyone has said about leadership right there. But at the building level, and even when I was my years as a department chair, I'm a true believer in a PLC model. I'm a true believer in the fact that you can empower anyone to lead. You need to put them in the right environment, coach them appropriately, that kind of stuff. I want someone who's going to, of course, I'm a curriculum person by nature and craft, and I think that that's a key piece. I think you need to be able to talk your talk as well as walk your walk. So I think that's a significant piece to create some buy-in and create a collective, kind of like a collective efficacy kind of culture and environment going on where people have respect for each other's knowledge base and, that shared vision beyond the individual, right? But at the same time, they need to obviously be confident and strong in their intellect, but in their practice and their craft, but they also need to be vulnerable, right? And, I'm not saying cry in front of your staff, but they need to be able to be open enough that you can be vulnerable to, empower others and accept your own, where you need to have that, that level of inquiry for yourself.
Great. Thanks, Carol. Doc, in New York, you have this beautiful vision, I heard on the podcast, creating the university model, buying that purchase, that territory. What do you see as a neat fit for that vision that you bring to the table?
I think leaders it's all about mindset. Can you look at things differently and apply new knowledge, not old knowledge? I use the phrase thriving in ambiguity. So how well can you deal with the pace of change, the new adversities our learners face every day, whether it's at home, how they interact with one another socially, or in school itself. And we keep applying the old things we've always done. Another way I look at it is, imagine if we were in school, all of us go back, and people could take a picture of everything you did. I would have trouble sitting in this seat if there was a record of everything I did when I was in school. And, that's what kids face. And we forget that. They're living a different life than we lived, and we keep putting them in the same classroom situational experiences that we had. And I think that's got to change. And in order to change that, you got to be okay with making mistakes and doing things differently and think about stuff in a new way. And all the other attributes that everybody mentioned, absolutely. But that mindset to look at it differently, I think, is an added piece.
Thanks, Doc. And Stick, Ohio. Doc Clark, talk to us.
To me, it's love your kids, love your people, love yourself. Right? You have to build relationships. You have to be willing to go above and beyond for kids. You got to have a short memory with kids because kids are going to make mistakes, but you have to love your people, right? If you do not have people that are socially, emotionally secure and sound and trusted and safe, then how are they going to impact kids' lives? So we got to treat our people really well, and you got to love yourself, right? It's a very, very, very difficult job that we do, and you have to take care of yourself. So we talk a lot about that, but it's also things like humility, right? We're going to admit when we make mistakes. We're going to take risks, and we're going to screw up. The only thing I ever promise anybody is I'm going to screw up, but I'll tell you when I do, I'll apologize for it and I'll make up for it. And service, right? It's all about service. I do believe deeply that there's no sane person in their right mind wants to be a superintendent. I think it's a calling. It's something that you are called to do. And if you have that sense of mission, I think you can be real successful. If you're all about, well, I'm the superintendent and I said so, and you're going to crash. You're really going to crash. And you might be the boss, but you're not going to be the leader.
Super important point. Looking back over the career as a school principal, I've made a couple of poor hires, but one hire in particular was a leadership position, and I listened to the voice of the school, and they wanted somebody who was very good technically, and it ended up backfiring because there was no ability to adapt, no ability to adjust, no real ability to relate. And it was a lesson I learned. It was very early in the career. I haven't made that mistake since. Exceptionally important points all around the board. As we sit down and we think about the platform that we're on right now, we're on a video cast. We're talking with leaders from across the country, and we're talking about topics that are very important to us, and we're able to share perspective and history. If you're going to be talking to your staff or your leadership team, Talk to us as if you're talking to them about how you value podcasts, video casts, and the like, and how it can really benefit the profession. Let's kick it up to Mike.
Yeah, one of the things I find that a lot of times teachers have one experience when they teach. You start in a building, and that's where you live for 30 years, and you retire. And teachers don't really move around and see different settings, different experiences, different ways things are done around our country. And I think that's the beauty of a podcast, because when you can link, look, it was a lot of hard work on Josh's part setting this up, but I look at what he was able to bring together here, and where else are you going to get this? So it's a beautiful format, and my favorite piece about a podcast is you listen to it. So I do so many things. Listening, putting headphones on and listening is so much easier than trying to read or multitask or do other stuff. So personally, I love it, and I think it's a great way to see other perspectives.
100%. Carol?
Totally agree about the different perspectives. I think, I was super excited to join here just to sit here and listen to you guys, right? Just to hear what you have to say. And, I've got family and all over the country, so I hear certain perspectives from the community perspective of their schools, but I don't hear things that are actually going on, right? Like there's perceptions everywhere. So that piece is huge. I also think that we take it one step further, that I think it's important that teachers participate in a podcast or participate in some kind of forum like this, because it's different when you're immersed in it and engaged in it versus just kind of listening to it in the car. So highly valuable.
Love that idea of just passive versus active. Fantastic. Antoine?
Yeah, I would tell it's convenient. Podcasts are convenient, and a lot of times it's hard to learn from each other unless we go to a conference somewhere. And as we know, with budgets and those kinds of things, it's hard to send so many people. You can maybe send 2 or 3 here and there. But again, with a podcast, you can have it out there. It's going to be recorded. You can listen to it when you're driving to work or wherever you're driving. Or you're late at night sitting down or laying down, you can listen to it. So I think it's able to reach more people across our country and be able to bring all of us together from different parts of this country to share our experiences. And I think I'm pretty sure a lot of people will listen to this if they're not on live now, they listen to it later. So the convenience of a podcast, and again, it's inexpensive. It's expensive to tolerate.
100%. Joe?
What's awesome about the field of education is that we are in fact doing, it's 9:42 in Ohio, and I'm sitting around with people from New York and South Carolina and Texas, and I can't remember where everybody else is from, but we're here, Massachusetts. We are learning from each other, and we have people who are watching us. Do you think accountants get together and have podcasts where they talk about, hey, what's the best way can we do accounting? Or, it's so inspiring for me to see that that American educators are so committed. And to me, in addition to all the great ideas I get from people, it's rejuvenating to me to see that we have people that actually care so deeply about the profession and doing right by kids. So to me, it's just uplifting to see this kind of thing go on.
And let's round it out up top. Ricardo?
Oh man, all of them said some on point things, right? When can people just get together and really discuss deep critical issues and put the views out for other people to listen to and come to their own conclusions, right? These aren't people with absolute answers. These are people with philosophies, theories, embedded belief systems that got them through probably one of the most stressful times this century, okay? What I will say, what's interesting is I'm a true believer that excess of anything can either kill you or make you grow. And so social media is bad in a lot of ways. And we think of all the bad things about social media. But the thing is, if we train these young men and women to utilize these platforms in very cohesive ways to help grow their minds, look at different viewpoints, go deep in situations, stimulate curiosity. These podcasts do a lot of this. As a matter of fact, I'm with more Uber drivers that listen to podcasts, learning about different things, than I am with them listening to music. The mind frame of people just using podcasts on a device or a computer is out the window. People are listening to it while they drive. People are listening to it when they're at work, during lunch. The accessibility to these type of conversations is deep and profound. And I really thank you for this. And when utilized correctly, and if we can teach our children to use these type of systems, it's amazing what they could do and how they could use it. I know Josh is a model. He works in my district. I've known Josh for a lot of years, and never in my wildest dreams, y'all. I know Josh since we were young coaches. Okay. I had a nice set of hair and everything, but never in my wildest dreams would I believe that he would be in the social media person, because when we would take pictures, he was the first one out the door. He wasn't the one doing all that stuff. Right. And here he is leading these conversations because he knows its relevance. So it's a really neat platform that we all need to start exploring and utilizing in our districts as a leverage point to get our messages across.
Awesome. And in closing, ladies and gentlemen, real quick, we're getting ready. It's the red zone. It's almost football season, and so we need to score a touchdown. We're on the 1 yard line. We're gonna dive up the A gap. Are we ready for that? So think real quick, 15, 30 seconds. Give some advice, some wisdom to maybe a new teacher, a new special ed aide, a new assistant principal, a new principal, something that along all the years, think of all the years that are here, throw out some knowledge so that one person right now, or maybe tomorrow, will say, eso es lo que yo quiero. That's what I want. That's what's going to fire me up. So let's start up there in New York. Talk to us. Piece of advice. He froze. Is he frozen?
All right.
Mike?
All right. I'm here.
Okay.
Yes. Good. We are a profession. We are not a job. Always remember that. If you look at it as a job, don't do it. Go find something else to do.
Love it. Ohio, Superintendent Joe Clark.
You know what I'm going to say, dude? If your dance floor is empty, change that song, man. You have the control over how people react to you. Make good decisions. Don't blame others. Make the changes that you need to make so you can make things happen for kids.
And if you have not bought his book, please make sure that you go to Amazon right now and buy his book. Great guy right there. South Carolina, give me some advice.
Key thing, you have to love what you do. And I'll again definitely will say this profession if you're not in it, it has to be a calling. It definitely can't be a job. If it's not a calling and you don't love what you do, get out of it. And as I told my staff at convocation on yesterday, my entire district, children come first. We treat these children as if they're our own nieces, nephews, or our own kids. Because if you do that, everything else will fall into place.
Down deep in the trenches, Carol. Every day, those parents, those cheer moms, talk to us.
Take a breath, step back, and any problem or conflict that you have, you answer with the question, what's best for kids?
Awesome. And down in Texas,
be the light. These kids have been in a COVID cloud of darkness for years. This community, their parents, be the light.
Oh, what can I say? We just scored a touchdown again in the red zone. Great job, everybody. Thank you very much from New York, from Texas, from Ohio, and South Carolina, home of the Gamecocks. We scored another touchdown and success for our students. We love you. Thank you for being here. You see us later on. Please share and like it. And this Sunday, 7 p.m., Jamie Brown, author, will be joining us. So join us on Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time for author Jamie Brown. Chris, what do you think about that?
You know what? I'm fired up. I have 2.5 pages of notes from tonight. Just some great quotes, some great ideas, some great thoughts, and some questions. I might be sending a couple of you on the screen over the next couple of days because I'm fired up, man. We're 2 weeks away from opening, and I am juiced after this combo. Hey, everybody out there in Unlock the Middle Land, be well. Just strive to be better every single day. And remember, We're all in this together. Whether you know us or don't, reach out, let us know how we can be. Folks on the screen, stay on the screen after we go off the air, but we're out tonight. It's almost 9:51. Be well, everybody.